should have peed before we left. I'm not responsible for you.
I mean, if it's...
Hi.
All right. Well, now we've started. I have to just wait.
You do have to wait, or you can go.
Wait. No, I'll be all right. I think I can make it to the next exit.
Hi.
It's the Krisha and Frank show.
And we're Krisha and Frank.
Hello.
So, last Monday, past Monday.
Let me hit the plugs. Please subscribe to our YouTube
Yes.
channel so you can get more of this fabulous banter.
I'm getting right into this because, oof.
Also, the audio version of it, and follow us on social with your comments. We appreciate all of that love and that interaction as we try to get to 1,000 YouTube subscribers. Actually, we want to get 100,000, but we got to start somewhere. What? You think that's a reach?
No, I think it's great.
All right, I got goals. You got to clearly identify the goal. You got to get everybody on board with the vision.
I want the same thing that you do.
Yes.
I do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Even though sometimes I do save those in a file.
I know.
I usually send them to you. So
you
you
do,
can
and it makes me laugh every time.
Half of them.
Between that and the sound effects, like I'm giggling.
Would you like a different sound effect while you burp?
That'd be so
Go ahead,
cool.
make a face, and
right,
I will. I don't know
I'll
what
just
it's going to
burp.
be. It might be maybe the fax sound, the crowd cheering. Okay.
So, last week we went to a funeral,
That was a good funeral.
and it was not of our nation.
I had a good time.
This is our friend.
Yeah, this one's a little more clear. Actually.
It is.
That one's,
Is it?
That's a little. That one's.
This
yeah.
was our friend Bill. He was one of the original founders of Einstein Simplified, a phenomenal man that I learned more about at his celebration of life than I even knew.
So we knew that one slice of him,
But
that iceberg or that anthill, if you will, of the improv world. But he was so involved in the community. You know, one of the state senators showed up because she and he were on the Sertoma board together.
Right.
And then his family getting up there talking about how even as a CPA, even on the busiest time of tax season, he would take Sundays off to take them roller skating because he knew he wouldn't see them
Right.
working 80 hours the rest of the week.
so now that we've preambled of how much we love Bill,
Oh, I love Bill.
I may offend. Like
Bill did my taxes too. He knew all my business.
I do not mean this to be offensive in any way whatsoever.
To me or to Bill?
To Bill, to the funeral, to the anything.
All right.
But I'm gonna describe this for people who weren't there so they know what we experienced, specifically from my point of view.
You mentioned a couple of days ago that you were worried about Jerry, or you felt bad for Jerry.
I did, and
All right.
I will get to that.
Okay.
But here's the deal. I had planned on signing the book, shaking the hands, and peacing out.
Which we had discussed via text. And I
Right.
told everybody, I said, Krisha's going to just drop by but not stay for the service.
Right.
Jerry and I are staying for the service. And I really thought all the other people we knew were just going to...
I think we all intended to. I didn't think we intended to be there for 2.5 hours.
Well, except for Jerry and me.
Right.
We were in for the hall.
Right, but I didn't realize that. So, the pling plonk, plinky plonk music starts a playing, and we're sitting, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm locked in now.
Yeah. We were in the front row.
And we're in the front row facing the family.
Well, they had it kind of spread out a bit, so it wasn't just a regular seating.
Right.
They had taken and created side sections.
And we side-sectioned, and it was all the comedy people.
So you had the casket and the preacher, and then the family is facing the casket and the preacher, and right off to the side, with a direct line of view of the family is us.
Yeah.
We could have, direct
They
eye
can
contact.
see us, we can see them.
Yeah.
And here's a bunch of comedy clowns over here, all clustered together,
How many
making
of us?
jokes.
It was you and me, and Dave, and Todd, and...
And Dave.
I said Dave.
The
other Dave.
Dave.
Dave Snow, gosh.
Yeah, I
Wes
forget
and
about him,
Greg.
too.
Right, I lost count, but that's like 7, right?
Yeah, there were a lot
We
of
could
us.
have done a show.
So, the talkie, and his daughter got up and spoke, and it was she
Meredith.
was choking up.
So beautiful.
And then
Lovely story.
his son-in-law got up. And
Meredith's husband.
This is where it goes off the rails for me.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't eulogizing. It was eulogizing.
Commemorating the joy that Bill brought to the family.
And his son-in-law is a big guy. He's a big man, and he's on the lectern, which is right above
where we are,
the casket.
And yeah,
and
we were very close.
He was intense, and I was afraid a couple of times because one, he kept bamming on it.
He did get bamming on it,
and he kept choking up.
Well, it was a closed casket. I mean, if the casket had been opened, the vibrations would have been enough to slam the lid, but it was already closed.
I was afraid the lectern, because it's not nailed down.
It was
wobbly, and I was afraid it was gonna go, and
it was nice. He was talking about how Bill was as much of a father to him as anybody else. How he came from a less than perfect scenario, but married into a perfect family.
And that's when it got to me. I got simultaneously the uncomfortable giggles and also the verklempties. Because
we had that when I got to get you the tissues?
Yeah. No, you had to give me the tissues when his granddaughter sang.
Oh, Annie's song.
You fill up my senses.
Well, I remember passing you a cough drop at one point.
That was before everything got started.
I remember passing you the tissues at one point.
But it was very long, and then a sermon happened.
Oh yeah, full-on sermon. A full-on churchy sermon.
A full-on, full John 3:16 sermon.
Yeah.
Which was a lot.
There was another sermon at the cemetery.
Really?
Yeah, I went to that too.
Who and behind me, my Dave Fennell, who he and I
are we going to call him?
I actually sent him a text. We're very similar people. Before everything got started, we were talking about, and we were joking, and we were talking about. So we're gonna do a little improv set.
Because we're all here. I mean, we're sitting. If you can imagine that we were, let's say, at Patrick Sullivan's or some club, and the stage is here, and then the ones who aren't performing are off to the side. It felt just like that.
Yeah.
Because here is Krisha and Frank, and like I said, Dave and Todd and Dave and Wes and Greg.
Yeah.
And we're all here.
Yeah.
And in this. We're missing, not everybody. We're missing a couple of members, but there was certainly enough of us there to easily put on a show. We could have done 90 minutes.
Oh, and so we were joking about doing a show. And hello, Mr. Fennell?
Yes.
Hi, you're on speakerphone and you're on podcast. And Frank and I are talking about the funeral that we attended last week. And the comment that you made about Frank having no chill.
Yeah, what does that mean?
No chill. Well, it means you're funny regardless.
Oh, okay. That's good, right?
Like, regardless of what may be the consequences.
Okay.
He's a funny guy, Frank. I mean...
Well, we were talking about if we did some games.
We were joking about doing some games.
You were saying we could have done New Choice or Should Have Said, and you mentioned a couple of others, and I thought, while we're here, we should do Superhero Eulogy, or maybe the game Dead Bodies.
Yes, which the deceased would have appreciated.
Because we're at a funeral.
I think those in attendance may have disagreed with our choices.
We're at a funeral, you see, so why wouldn't we do Superhero Eulogy and Dead Bodies?
And Dave ended up making the comment because we all ended up with the church giggles at one point.
Except me.
Right, because you have zero emotion. You don't cry. You just... Frank, he keeps saying he had a great time at the funeral.
It was good. I liked it.
I mean, I have to be honest. It was pretty much the most fun I've ever had at a funeral.
Right, because when was the last time... I mean, let's all look forward to when each other dies, because...
I'm next, I think.
Are you?
Well, I'm older than...
I don't know.
I live a pretty dangerous life, Frank.
All right, well, Dave, I will be your honorary pallbearer.
But...
Well, I won't need to be carried.
I mean, I could carry you.
Yeah, I'm going to be in a urn, so it's going to be a pretty light load.
So that's me. I can carry it. Just one person. I'll do it. Well, any of us will do it. We'll take turns.
Preferably a football carry.
Yeah, well, you know what? Get a football-shaped...
people out of the way on the way to the...
Get a football shaped urn and we can play red ball, blue ball, yellow ball.
Hey, I'm down.
That's where you pass it around the circle.
But I at one point Dave made the comment, he was like, these people behind us are questioning where they sat because we're all
There were
so,
people behind us?
Yes, they were all so loud and stupid.
Like normal people?
Like normal people.
Like
Like
straights?
normal people.
Like straights.
That's a comedy term for the audience, you know.
Yeah, there were some straights behind us,
Oh.
and
Yeah, they got, at one point a lady stood up and I was like, oh, they're moving. I see why.
yeah, and because we're all joking, which we all know that Bill would have appreciated.
Yes.
But if you
Yes.
didn't know Bill in his comedic capacity, you could be offended at a bunch of goobers over here making jokes before you sing how great they are. You know?
They did do that
Yeah.
one. They did Amazing Grace.
Oh, we
How
sang
Great
like
Thou
we
Art.
sat through a whole church service.
Revelation song.
So I'll see you in church on Sunday.
Oh, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, someone's already tried to set me on fire this week. I'm all set.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I don't...
we're glad that we got to check in with you,
Thanks, Dave.
and I just wanted to get your quote of Frank has no chill, so we can kind of continue on that path, because yeah,
All right.
we love you.
Yeah,
Hey, I love you guys too.
hey, I love you too, Dave. I want to point out this is the most he's heard of our podcast.
I know.
Ouch.
That's all right.
Ouch.
This is
See,
the whole thing's a
me
ploy.
not having no chill.
The whole,
Other-
whole thing's a
other-
ploy to get you to listen to an episode, Dave.
Other Dave knew about it, but I don't really care because I forget that other Dave exists. So, gotta go. Love
I'll
you.
actually listen, I promise. Love you guys.
Bye.
All right, I'll send you the link.
Bye.
Bye. Because listening, like to a
I
great,
love that guy.
I do too.
Yeah.
Listening to a great audiobook, for example.
Yes.
A great podcast. You can listen to podcasts on audible.com.
You absolutely can. You can listen to thousands of titles of audiobooks. I'm actually trying to figure out if my next book, because I finished my Neil Gaiman book, I'm trying to figure out if my next one's going to be a fiction or nonfiction.
It's hard to decide when there's a universe of material. How do you narrow it down? How do you look for a recommendation?
You do, and actually, I've been thinking of...
Actually, you could send us a recommendation.
Yeah.
We would love to listen to something that you enjoyed.
I'm thinking nonfiction. I'm thinking a nonfiction, something enlightening. But you can go to audibletrial.com/Krisha and Frank. I practiced. And you can get a 30-day free trial, and with that, you get a free download that you get to keep whether you continue the premium service or not.
And that's the key, like we talked about many times with Audible, is, of course, you could stream the titles, but why not download them? Mm-hmm. Because you're paying for the service, and during that free trial, you're treated just like a paying member. So take full advantage of it. Get your free download. Earn up credits during the course of your membership. And you can listen to it on any of the Amazon devices as well, because it's an Amazon company, Audible is now. So it works really well, obviously, with your Echo, and you can listen to it while you go to bed.
Aw, that's so nice.
Or while you wake up. You can set a routine
Yeah.
to wake you up in the morning and have it just start playing where it left off.
audibletrial.com/Krisha and Frank.
She's so proud of herself.
I'm so proud.
Because I know she
You
looked
were
away.
you were looking at me.
I wanted to make sure you weren't reading the words on the bottom of
I
the
know.
screen.
You were like.
I have no chill.
You.
It's like the most liberating thing ever. I have no chill. I can get away with anything.
And that's the thing is
I had no idea.
when I said that I felt sorry for Jerry is not but that I actually.
A lot of people feel sorry for Jerry because she's married to me.
Well, I don't feel sorry for her because she's married to you, because
right.
I think that you guys are perfect partners.
Okay.
But what I did feel sorry for is in between the funeral and the gravesite, which you and Jerry were the only ones in our group that went to the gravesite.
No. Wes and Greg
Uh-huh.
ended up going.
Okay.
And Laura Mobley was sitting with them. And then Jessica Brackeen met us
Okay.
at the gravesite.
Okay.
So we had another contingent.
But
I felt very responsible because I took Jessica around and introduced her to all the family members.
nice. That's very sweet.
Yes.
You did the same to me.
Yeah, that's what
That's
right.
what you do.
Yeah.
But as we were standing outside in between the funeral or the celebration and the graveside, we were all standing there and everybody's joking, and we're just, because it's the thing is it's been quarantine land for a lot of people. There has not been. You guys have not had an improv show.
We have not seen each other in person We've had Zoom chats.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unusual. You and I get to see each other in person.
Right.
But we have all made all these arrangements to do
Right.
that. But I haven't seen any of those guys since March.
And so it was level 11 joke town.
Yeah.
And Jerry, she was like, oh, guys, because it gets a little out of control, but not for us.
What happened?
Nothing actually happened, but it was, there were like you joking about playing the game Dead Bodies. Like, Jerry is so used to it.
That's Greg's best game. I thought he would appreciate that.
But Jerry is so used to it, but also I looked at Jerry one point and I was like, you can't take us anywhere, even to a funeral, because the natural essence of who we are.
Yeah.
Especially, and I turned around to Dave and I made the joke. I said, nothing like a bunch of comedians to numb their actual feelings with comedy.
Yes.
Because that's
the
just
bit.
like alcohol or drugs, if you are someone who has trouble processing emotion, which I think that's every human being on the planet, you find a way to kind of numb it.
And by trouble processing, in my case, you mean not processing it, just ignoring it?
I've never seen anyone sit at a funeral and just...
All right, did you notice when there were some people who were crying? Maybe you and I have this kind of unspoken communication, but I do with Jerry also, where I wanted to point out to her someone who was very emotional across the room. So here's what I did. I went like, I'll do it to you, I guess. I went like this. And that's it. I don't even know if I moved my head. I think it might have just all been eyes. And she knows exactly what I meant.
You did the exact same thing to me at
because
one point.
It was the same. I did to both of you because you're on one side of me, and Jerry's on the other side of me. So I didn't want her. I mean,
it was.
I'm like, hey, check that out.
And it.
Why are they crying?
And I got.
I'm thinking
like
why
Jerry,
are people crying?
Jerry
Why are they
got
so
emotional.
upset?
I got emotional. But see, I got emotional listening to all of these people talk about what a great man he was and what a great father he was.
Yes.
And then
That's a tough gig.
I went down the self rabbit hole. I started internalizing it all. Am I a good mom? Will anybody show up to my funeral? Will anybody have anything to say?
yeah.
Because if I croak over, nobody's gonna give a damn. And I
Tanya
immediately,
Cinnamon would send a...
I immediately internalized it. I made it all about me. And so then I got in my car and I was like, poop. And so I drove to Kroger and I bought stuff to make stew and pineapple upside down cake. And I went home and I put on
looks good.
pajamas
Picture.
and I cooked food and I watched all episodes of The Queen's Gambit.
All of them? All 7?
I watched all 7 in
It's a
one
good
night.
show. Good
and
show.
it was really good. But like I let myself go down this like mope hole.
Yeah, and that's a show about mental illness and depression and drug
It was
dependency.
so great.
Jerry and I watched one episode a day for a week, so we had a little bit of time to decompress between episodes. All right, but see, of course I would come to your funeral if I were still alive.
Right.
Which is
you
unlikely.
might be. I mean, you never know.
This guy's just looking at the actuarial tables.
You never know.
I'm probably the next one to go.
If I see the right gas truck on 40 one day.
Oh, that's a Queen's Gambit reference. That's not nice. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But see, now when my mom passed, I've known for 15 years that she was going to die because she had congestive heart
Right.
failure. So you always, when the phone rings, you'll get a little bit of that.
Right.
And my first question to my sisters would be, "How's Mom doing?" "Oh, everything's fine. We're just calling about some other rando thing." So you always have to ask that first because
You gotta get it out.
there's been a percentage of times where Mom's back in the hospital. And she would go through this routine where she'd go to the hospital and then get better, and then they'd send her to a outpatient
Like
rehab
rehab.
place, and then she got too much better for that. So they'd send her home where she'd get worse again and go back to the hospital and da-da-da-da-da. So you don't know if this, when I saw her in June,
Right.
she's home. And then when she goes into the hospital in July, you're like, okay, which kind of cycle is this? But that turned out to be the last one. She never made it home.
Right.
So my sisters tell me to plan the funeral because, again, I've got no chill. I'm not going to...
You do your thing.
I can organize an event. That's I got this.
Which, like...
I should show you the email I got from the church saying that was one of the best organized funerals. Congratulations.
Of course you did. You don't have to show me the email because I believe it. But Jerry did say you got misty at your mom's funeral.
I don't know if not misty as much as because I didn't want to have to do the eulogy.
Yeah.
But no, so I'm
Yeah,
trying to
we
find
talked about that.
trying to find somebody else to do it. But no one will do it.
Right.
No one, so it's I'm the only option left. And I'm like, okay. So I wrote up a nice thing, and what actually got me was my own writing. So this is so vain.
Yeah.
I have a video of it. I can show you a video of it. At the very end, when I had written what I thought was my killer closing line, it was so good that when you watch the video, Jerry can tell. You probably will be able to tell, and maybe Megan, but no one else noticed
that you.
There was a little bit of a catch in the throat.
Yeah.
Being a public speaker, I knew how to fight through it.
Yeah.
And be fine.
But have you ever been like an emotional? Do you ever just have like a day where you just like, I'm gonna cry today and just get it out? Can you when's the last time you actually had like a cry?
I don't know.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it because
I just
on your side of the spectrum where you have no chill, I have no chill on the side of the spectrum that if I'm feeling emotional, by God, everybody knows it.
Yeah.
I literally had a whole day after the funeral because it was the day before the anniversary of my mom dying, and it's 2 days before Hannah turning 16. I took that day to let myself cry and just be sad. Whereas
I waited, at the end of the burial, I asked, Jerry was driving because my back was sore.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, just drive around the cemetery in case we end up being buried here.
See,
because I'd never been to the back of that cemetery.
The Highland Memorial? That's where half my family's buried.
Right, the one on Bearden?
Yeah.
Off Sutherland?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people there.
On the back side.
Because we were...
facing the interstate.
The only time I'd ever been there was for a mausoleum interment. And it was weird because the guy's wife had passed. And he had a double deep
right.
tomb. And they're pushing the wife all the way to the back to leave room for him. But his next wife is already there, and I'm thinking he could have actually just said, yeah, no, don't bother, it's all right, stop, save the effort.
Oh, that's weird.
It was weird. Yeah,
that's awkward.
I know. It was a situation where the first wife had been in decline for a while, and it kind of started
whatever.
So I don't know.
Heart leads
so
you.
Maybe he could have gotten a triple, but I don't think it was a triple. So. But we were driving around, and I'm watching them put Bill in, and they got out the to tamp down the dirt and all that. I was fascinated.
See, to me, that morbid curiosity, it exists in my life because I've been a part of the funeral business for so long in my life that I would love to go work in the funeral business again. You got a funeral business? I'll come work for you.
That's not a bad. It would not be a bad day job for either of us.
Shoot fire. Could I open the door and greet people and pass out tissues? Absolutely. I just wouldn't be able to sit in front of the family and watch them experience the death because Lord have mercy.
What if we had the Brooke and Murphy Funeral Home and...
Brooke and Murphy.
That would be our front. That'd be the money laundering side of it. And then in the back, we just run the podcast.
Okay.
And we,
I think people would watch a funeral home podcast.
No, we would just do the regular podcast. There'd be
Right.
Krisha Frank in the back, Brooke and Murphy in the front.
All right.
What do you think?
I think it's great.
We have to get a funeral director and embalming fluid.
Okay. Please follow us on all the socials because Lord knows we're going to end up touring a funeral home soon. Krisha and Frank on all the socials. And please, if you haven't already, hit subscribe on our YouTube. It helps us so much.
Yeah, Brooke and Murphy.
Yeah.
Funeral. Yeah.
Think they'd let me roller skate?
Yeah, we would own the place. You could do whatever you wanted.
Oh, yeah.
We could put our absolute, We could have an ice skating rink, too, in the deep freeze.
I don't want to do the makeup part, though.
No. I will hire people for that. Yeah. My friend Stacy can do dead people's hair.
Cool.
I think it's been more than 10 seconds.